Right, we have a little bit more in this video where we are looking at how to model thousandths and how to write thousandths. Okay, so now we are going to look at, there's our liquid. So we're going to look at thousandths in a few different ways. We're going to look at thousandths as a liquid, and now we're going to look at thousandths as a sorry, forgot the word just for a second there. It's a area model, of course, it's an area model. So this first area model is showing us 1 part out of 10 parts, right? So each one represents a whole, but our first one, the coloring blue, is representing 1/10, right? The blue section over here. And we can write it that way, or we can write it this way. We can write it fractional or decimal, and we can also write it in unit form, 1/10. Very good. And then if we look at our next area model, it also represents 1, and our little blue section here now is 1 out of 100, right? And we just talked about the 3 ways to write it: as a decimal, as a fraction, and as a unit form. So unit form would be 1/100th, right? And then this is called an inset. This little tiny area model is showing us 1/100th is now broken into 10 pieces. So 1/100th broken into 10 pieces, one of them is 1/1000th. So just the same thing that we looked at with our milliliter broken into 3 parts. Now we're doing it by an area model broken into 3 parts. And we're going to do it one more way. Before we end our video, and that is the tape diagram. Okay? So let's just take a minute to look at this tape diagram and get a good understanding for what we're seeing here. Okay, I see here we have this one represents 1, this one represents 1/10, and this one represents 1/100th. You see that? You see the difference in the zeros? So our 1/10 here is expanded out and broken into 10 parts. And then our 1/10 is broken out and broken into 10 parts. So 1/10 would be 1/10, right? As a fraction, 1/10 and 1/10. And then this one is 1/10 broken into 10 parts. So that would be 1/100th. Right? And here we could write 100. Okay? And then it would also be 100th. So we have a decimal, a fraction, and a unit form. Then 100th broken into 10 pieces. Each one would be 1/1000ths. 0. Oh, sorry. Doesn't look very much like a 0, does it? There we go. Try to make it more like a 0. Okay, and then we have 1/1000, and then we have 1/1000ths. Okay, so let's just take a minute to look at that. We looked at decimal parts in 3 different ways: liquid, area model, and tape diagram. And they all represent a whole, but they represent a whole differently, right? And some of them we were breaking apart vertically, some were breaking apart horizontally. It's just interesting to look at things in a little bit of a different way, right? Okay, let's clear that screen. And this is on your next page in your Learn book. It's a horizontal page. It looks like that. It's right on the back of the magnifying glass page, and we're going to do part of it together, and then you're going to be working on it by yourself. Okay? So here you see one, your disc of 1 here, and then it's broken into 10, and each one is 1/10. So we represent decimal numbers with place value discs. We have place value discs in class too. If you want to use them hands-on, you can do that as well. So how many tenths make 1? 1 makes 10 tenths. And we talked about that earlier. So right here is what you have in your book. Number 3, yours looks a little bit different, but this is the first column on the page, the first column, the purple one over here. Okay, so 1 makes 10 tenths. Yeah, and 1 is blank 1/10. 1 is blank 1/10. So 1 is 10 times as much as. Okay, 10 times you're writing this in your book too. Everything that I write on the screen, you're writing in your book. Sorry that it's so messy. 10 times as much as. I need to go find my wireless mouse. It'll be much better after that. Okay, so then 1 equals 10 times 1/10. So we're just looking at it in lots of different ways so we can really understand what this is showing us here. 1 is 10 times of 1/10, and 1/10 is 1/10 as much as 1. 1/10 is 1/10 as much as, okay, and it already has 1 there. And you can see how these two are like opposites of each other. 1 is 10 times as much as 1/10, and 1/10 is 1/10 as much as 1. Okay, so then 1/10 is equal to 1/10 times 1. And we have a pattern here. And this pattern is going to continue into your next page that you're going to be using for this, not the next page, but the next column, because you have these 3 columns to work on. Okay, and I want you to think about 1 is 10 tenths. So then when we're getting over to 1/10 is 10 hundredths. Do you see the pattern there? 1/10 is 10 hundredths. Okay, so think about the patterns as you're doing that. What I want you to do is I want you to continue working. Just a minute. I want you to continue working on that. I want you to continue working on this, and then you see the next page has the gears here. You see the gears, the 3 circles? They're like gears of a car that push each other. So your work for today is going to be, for this lesson, is going to be the gears, all of the pages, and that will be your activities that go with video 1 and 1 2. All right, good luck. Thank you so much.